Alright, hey guys, we are going to get started today. Thank you for coming to our monthly meeting of LA2M. We are a little bit light on attendance today. It's probably due to virus concerns.
The rain.
Sorry?
The rain.
Might be the rain too. But it's really good to see some familiar faces as well as some new faces, so welcome to LA2M. First thing that I'd like to ask you guys to do is if you could take 60 seconds to check in on social media, whether it's Facebook or LinkedIn or otherwise, we would really appreciate it. So if you could take a minute to do that, you can do that now. Thank you guys so much for doing that. We are a volunteer-led organization, so when you support us and engage with us online, it helps us reinvest back into the organization and get you better speakers and more attendance for better networking opportunities. Also, before I'd like to get started, we've got to introduce a couple of our yearly sponsors. First yearly sponsor is BDB Marketing and Design. BDB Marketing is a full-service, one-stop marketing agency offering everything you need to increase brand awareness and grow your clientele. For over 40 years, BDB has worked with different clients offering everything needed to establish, grow, and maintain your business with new and existing clients. You can learn more about BDB Marketing at bdbmarketingdesign.com. We also have a yearly sponsor, the University of Michigan Credit Union. The UMCU is the only credit union headquartered here in Ann Arbor, and with more than 100,000 members, they play a vital role in our community's growth from a personal and business standpoint. They offer everything from credit cards to checking accounts to loans to nonprofit community-oriented workshops and pretty much everything finance related. So we are really proud to call the University of Michigan Credit Union our financial partner of not only Ann Arbor but LA2M. And now onto our main event. I would like to introduce my friend Quentin Groce. Q is speaking for a second time here at LA2M, and currently he's a marketing consultant with MLive Media Group here in Ann Arbor, but he's in Flint, right? In over 4 years with the company, Q has been a growth and learning catalyst in a handful of diverse industries such as higher education, manufacturing, material supply, retail, automotive, and associations. Although technically a marketer, Q finds that the role of the modern marketing partner has grown beyond aiding with marketing campaigns and data, such as this presentation, and into overall growth strategy and problem solving. He's also a proud alumnus and volunteer with his fraternity, Sigma Pi, and leads the Flint Genesee Young Professionals as its chairman. So, please bring your hands together and give Q a warm welcome to LA2M.
I was going to get up and shake Mac's hand, but we're not supposed to do that right now. That's probably why half the people are not in the room. And so I am a mover when I talk, and so I'm going to try. I remember the last time I was here, I was like, I have to stay right in this general vicinity and just let my hands do the moving. So I love this opportunity, and so I was going to start off with a couple of little funny little things that happened along the way. But as Matt mentioned, I work over at MLive and I work with a lot of different industries. So I've had the opportunity to work with automotive dealers, to medical campaigns, with Covenant up north, to associations, and there's a collective thing that continues to happen. And obviously, as marketers, we're bombarded by new offerings every single day. Right, oh, should I be doing out of home? I don't know if it's working anymore for me, but should I be doing direct mail? I hear that that's the thing that I should be doing for my physical campaign, and that's going to help leverage. Facebook Lives used to be really great for me, and now they're not anymore. So people are constantly being bombarded, and as marketers, we know that every time we hear a new offering come, it's like it's like when our food's coming, and we're excited about that happening, and then we realize how much we ordered, and we're like, oh crap, how am I going to do this? So by the time we keep getting all these offerings, we feel like I can't take anymore. I can't add anything else to my plan, and I don't know what I should be doing. What we do know is that when we're looking at a minute, there's a lot of things that happened in 2019, and this continues to grow and develop. I think this graphic was originally produced in 2018, but we know where people are. We know how many hours are watched every second on Netflix. We know how many swipes are happening on Tinder. We know why Facebook is still semi-relevant, but should we be moving to Instagram? So the question that we look at is how do we adapt our plans, and what are we looking at? And I really feel that data is a big player in this. For a while we were like, okay, well the TV advertising is dead. It's been killed off by digital. Well, then it still is relevant for the political marketing side of things, so should it also be relevant for my business? And if it's not going to be on here, should I be doing it on here? And if it's not there, is it going to be on my phone? Where am I actually going to be seeing these things? Because one of the things that we know, and I found very interesting, when I started with MLive 4 years ago, it was about a 50-50. We actually had a slight tilt more of people viewing our content on their desktop versus their mobile device. And I actually logged in the other day to look at it, and it turned out that 75% of people were viewing our content on their mobile device now. It's shifted that dramatically in 4 years. And we check our phones for a billion times a minute. You could add up everybody else that's going on. So, and then by the time you think you've got a handle on it, right, then all of a sudden this magic thing, TikTok, comes up, and you're literally like, I'm just going to burn my office to the ground. I don't have anything. I can't do it anymore. So, but I'm here kind of to do a couple of things. Let's tie the hair back and do a little bit of a quick update. That was one of the things that I promised, was a quick marketing update, right? I got these specific things that, the best ideas are stolen and are taken from people that are smarter than you, right? But you always want to give credit to those individuals. But there's a group that puts together a CMO survey where they survey a large portion of marketers and get their insight to understand what's happening in the world. And they release this generally every couple of months. And so the next one actually is going to be surveyed, I believe it's in June. But looking at this, one of the things that I kind of found, I pulled a couple of things from this 75-page deck that I thought were pertinent to our group here, is marketing at a budget as a whole is pretty much staying steady across the board when they looked at all of these people that they were surveying. Something that we would expect. We were having a conversation about this in the back of the room before we started. Digital continues to outpace traditional, but traditional is not dead. So there's still a space for it. And depending on the market that you physically serve in, you might find that traditional is actually working for you, or at least a good portion of what's driving conversions. Marketing analytics spending actually declined. So people who are spending money on, okay, what does my analytics look like? How does this thing physically fit together? That's actually physically declined a little bit in this past year, but they're expecting it to continue to grow. So I didn't dig super deep into why their expectation was that, but they had that based off of what the survey was coming through. But one of the things that I found very, very important, and I've been telling my customers this when I've been sitting down with them, and now it's just been validated by this survey, which makes me feel really good because, hey, maybe I am a superstar, is that growth overall, when we're looking at our businesses or the revenues overall, is the most important KPI, not ROI. So a lot of times I'll sit down and go, yeah, but you said your plan's going to cost X number of dollars, but realistically, what's going to be the ROI on that? Sometimes that's really difficult to be able to do. Or it's not the right measurement. So growth, I'm going to bring that one back up here in a minute. So the reason why the talk that I was giving today was talking about data and why is data important and how can we leverage that, how can we use these things to help inform our decisions. So, I asked, are you collecting data for yourself right now or your customers? If you haven't, we just need to just start doing that. And there's a number of major players within the game when it comes to the world of analytics, but I generally recommend Google Analytics because 1, it's robust, 2, it's free, and it doesn't cost you an arm and a leg. And it's pretty easy, and they have a billion support videos. So whether you're the do-it-yourself marketer or a large multi-million-dollar business, you've got a variety of different ways that you can learn from that. In addition, it works with many platforms. When I say with platforms, I'm saying different website providers. So whether you're on a Squarespace, a WordPress, a Drupal website, you're able to load this bad boy in there, and there's not a lot of compatibility issues. I didn't know how well this was going to I'm hoping you guys are going to be able to see this. Now that I'm looking at the screen, it might be a little bit brightness, but hopefully I can always send it off to you guys as well too later. Who's played within Google Analytics? So about half the room, right? Cool. So we got some newbies and we got some old timers, or rather seasoned veterans, right? The Google Analytics dashboard, when you open it up, it gives you just the initial snapshot of what's happening within it. You know, how many users are actually physically have been on the website? How many sessions are they creating? How many page views did they do? And this is just like the quick overview that we're looking at. But I wanted to dive into some specific things that I've noticed that, one, like brief overview, but then giving a couple of drill down points of things that you can go look at and maybe it'll work for your organization as well. One, the audience tab. Audience is, you know, who are we speaking to, who's actually physically coming to our website, and what does that physically look like? It gives us a lot of different information. Again, everything from how many people are visiting our site, the new users that are coming to our site, again, total users, new users, sessions, all of these wonderful things. And again, all you have to do is take this code, what they call, for Google Analytics specifically, it's called a UA code, and you have to put that script onto your website so that it starts beginning tracking. Word of the wise, if you're putting this script on your site, you want to put it in the header code, not the footer, because you want it to be one of the first things that loads, not the last things that loads. It actually will cause some really wonky things. We found that with one of my clients. They put it on their website, but they were just like, here it is on the footer. And it was the last thing that loaded, so it was messing with their times and what's happening on the site. Within the tab, you're going to see a variety of different things. Demographics. You know, one of the cool things in demographics, if you're trying to figure out what's the average age. A lot of us as marketers, I think, could be, say that we're guilty for saying, I know who my customer is, right? I'm going to take them out of the laughter. We've had that many times, right?
I've heard that conversation.
I've heard that conversation once or twice. I know exactly who my customer is. I don't need you to tell me what it is. And then you go in and you find out, no, it's not actually physically 45 to 55-year-old women who are stay-at-homes who also have stay-at-home moms who now have grandchildren and love it. It's actually the 17-year-old who's actually physically influencing your decisions. So you can go in here and you can see what do the ages look like that are coming to your website. And Google's able to figure that out based off of a number of things and how that person's going through traveling their cookie trail, if you will. I love it that there's also some affinity things, so interests. You know, let's say you're trying to figure out, okay, well, I don't know what my people love. I know that they love my beautiful water product, and this is great, but if I'm trying to figure out how do I market people who want to actually physically drink my water, what else are they interested in? There's a whole tab in there that you can click on that, and it'll literally show you 5 categories or affinities that these people are into. Are they into sports? Do they like cars? Are they more into baseball versus, and that actually will physically take, based off of their cookie trail, upload that in there for you so you're able to see it. There's a new one under behavior, which is the new versus returning. I love looking at this because we will always see that there's people who come to our site for the first time, and then there's this like number of large users that, but what are they doing from the difference from the first time they came to their website to the second time? Are they staying longer? Are they staying shorter? Is it because they're staying shorter because they know exactly what they need to do in order to have them convert and do the thing that we want them to do? Or is it that they're, you know, staying longer because they wanted to engage their content for a longer period of time? There's a variety of things, and every business is different, and it is kind of like a math equation where you have to start putting some things together. It's not just like, oh, here's your answer. And one of the cool things that I've started seeing, again, you'll notice this has beta next to it, is the cross-device tracking. So if you log into, essentially what happens is if I log into Google, my Google account on this, and I also log into one on this, it's essentially tracking me from here to here and back and forth. So it knows if I'm leaving this one, it still has me here. But the problem that used to be a couple years ago when they first rolling these kind of things out and doing analytics was if I visited on my desktop, but then I'm like sitting in my car in traffic and I go on here, it registers me as 2 separate people. So I don't know what's actually physically happening, and I'm trying to market to both of those people. So a couple of really cool things in the audience tab. One thing, and this was, I call them these like little hidden treasures. Again, people say all the time, I know who my customer is. I don't need you to tell me who that person is. I already know what it is. One of my clients is an association. Actually, I have a number of associations, but the specific one, I was sitting down and their director of membership asked to be in the meeting. She was trying to do some new initiatives to market. And she was telling me all about our markets, and we really are really strong in Grand Rapids, we're really strong in Lansing, we actually have a really strong pocket in Traverse City, and that's really where we're going to be focusing this next year, and that's all I want to do. And so I'm on my computer, and I'm like, well, what about Ann Arbor? She's like, oh, no, that's a terrible market for us. No one really likes our association over there. People just don't want to join us. So I pull up her analytics, and I go, well, Ann Arbor is the 3rd largest traffic driver for your organization on your website right now. And it was one of those grab the computer moments where she's like, what do you mean? She's like trying to spin it around looking at this thing. So when's the last time that you've gone into your analytics? A cool little activity is just go into those Google Analytics and look at what your geos and where those people are coming from. Sometimes you'll be surprised. And sometimes there's some random ones in there that you don't know why Virginia's showing up, but sometimes that does. So what have you done? What have you done to go look and see? So if you know where your customers are, is that actually being reflected in the actual physical service area that your website is showing? And is there a missed opportunity there? The acquisition tab. So this is one of my favorite ones because as a marketer in MLive, I have to check myself all the time to make sure that my campaigns are actually driving what I'm saying they're doing for my customers. And so I love going into the acquisition tab because this is all of the things that make up our marketing campaign. Direct traffic, organic, paid search, social, and you can go in here and see what those people are doing. Are they spending more time on my website, or are they spending less? Did that campaign that I ran with Google Ads to get more people to my website or Facebook actually physically drive that traffic? Yes or no? How do I adapt and make those things as an educated position and decision? So I love going into this, but one of the cool things when it comes to acquisition is going into those traffic sources. So you can go into, there's a number of different ways to skin this cat. Sorry if I know Pete does that. One of the things is that you can go into sources, and that shows you just literally the mediums that what's driving traffic. Or you can go into source medium, which literally will show you, oh, it was Google, but it was organic, or it was Google and it was pay-per-click, or all those different things. The other next level thing that you could do with this is you could go into the secondary dimension tab that's on here, and you could literally add in a whole other dimension. So let's say you're like, okay, I'll give you an example. I have an attorney that I work with, and he was working with another provider. And again, many times in the world that we're working in the marketing, we'll have clients that we're working with, or we, as we're going out and finding new partners to market for us, we want to know, are they actually doing what they're saying they're doing? We get their reports, they tell us what's happening, but I went in here and I actually looked at the paid search for this law firm, and they had clicks happening in Chicago, they had clicks happening in Boston, they had clicks happening in Pittsburgh, and so I brought it to his attention and I said, do you realize that, how are you refining that campaign? And he said, what do you mean? And I'm like, well, you're having me target 15 miles from Flint, but you're getting clicks all over. So you're just basically wasting money in these areas that don't necessarily work. Are they driving clicks to your website? Yeah, they are. Are they relevant? Probably not, because a law firm in Flint is probably not going to be servicing somebody in Chicago on a large basis. And again, this is like the top 3 geo was Chicago for his campaign, not Flint. And I'm like, we need to fix this thing a little bit. Again, it prompts us to ask some specific questions. So adding in a secondary dimension can get real interesting, and you can either drill that down with all of the items, but I recommend that you go into one specific source and then pick that other item, because again, we're getting more granular and we're finding ourselves down that rabbit hole. Actually, this is just an example of what it would look like. So if you were to go and do it on this tab, which again, I said I recommend not to do it, and then of course here it is on my slide, right? Again, we're looking at, now this just broke down the previous one based off of where are those people coming from and what is the source that's driving it. So again, we can get into some more granular things to understand what does our customer look like. Now I mentioned earlier, and I had this slide up there, I said growth is the most important KPI, not ROI. ROI should be coming, right? We want to make sure that we're driving a return on investment, but is my business growing? And this has actually become a common trend that I've been working with. I've worked with a number of different doctors' practices. I got an optometrist, I have a dentist, I have an orthodontist, and I also have a veterinarian. And prime example, I had this individual come to me and she said, yeah, I think we're going to have to be canceling our campaign. And I said, okay, well, let's do some reporting. No, we're just going to be canceling the campaign. It's just really not working for us and it's not in our budget. I said, okay, well, here's my thing. I recommend that you look at things year over year and see, are you servicing more patients or do you have new patients, and write those numbers down and look at it year over year. So, because what happens with these different business owners is that, when they're contracting somebody else to bring that in, they can't see the forest for the trees. I.e., they're so ingrained within their business that I literally left that same veterinarian and I said, and the veterinarian came into the office, I was dealing with her marketing girl, and she goes, your campaign's not working. Our phones don't ring at all. I don't know what's happening. Like, this is not working for me. I think we need to be canceling this thing. But I'm not quite sure if I should or not. She walks out and her assistant is like, our phones have been ringing off the hook. We literally are putting people on hold nonstop, and I don't know what she's talking about because we're booking more appointments. Yeah. That person was so ingrained with, I have my patient and I need to treat this dog and I need to do this surgery and I need to make sure this thing's happening, that she's not aware of what's happening within that realm. And when she looks at the checkbook, she's got to cut a check and she's like, I don't know if this is necessarily going. But so what I recommend with those individuals, I said, take this. I said, look at your year over year and see new patients. They had 2 doctors in the office at this point. Here's yours, here's the other person, and then also look at total patients seen. Because one of the things that we've also seen is that you could see a trend upwards in your whole entire thing. People who are existing patients might see your ads that are out there and come back. I did a very similar thing with the optometrist. She had 2 business partners and there was a conflicting inside the office. Both doctors, she liked it, he didn't. He called me, he said, cancel it. I said, okay, you're doing really well, are you sure? He goes, yep. Cool. Can I make it a recommendation? He goes, nope, I don't want to talk about it. I just want it to be as easy as when you started it with me. Other doctor calls me up and she goes, what can I do? I said, do this. She calls me 2 weeks later and she goes, so I did that thing you told me you were supposed to, and I'm literally up like a significant number of appointments and a significant number of patients. Last year I was dead. This year I'm booming, but I never even realized what that felt like. Again, we're so focused on what's happening within that realm, that allows us to be able to see, am I growing in general? And then if we know that we've got our appointment, our office is filled, or our orders coming in, maybe if we've got that piece already done, maybe are we not charging enough, or do we have problems in AR? Maybe there's some other things that are affecting what's happening on the other side that's not making it look the way we want it. The last thing I was going to chat about today is a dashboard, right? So the car dashboard was created to tell us how fast are we going, make sure I don't blow my engine up with my RPMs if we used to drive a manual. Sometimes a couple people in the room still love those manuals, I do too. So we know when to shift or to move into the next thing. We can do the same thing with our data. And that data is not limited to the realm of Google Analytics. Google, I found out about this because our performance analytics team was doing it for one of our MLive campaigns, and I didn't even know this thing existed, and I'm playing with Google all the time. Has anybody heard of Google Data Studio 2? So Google Data Studio, it's free to use. One, again, I like free, but it's also robust. So it's not like it's a cheap tool. And essentially what it allows you to do is connect in a variety of different data sources. So what do those data sources look like? It could be your Google Ads Manager if you're running Google Ads on your own. It could be your analytics. It could be Google Sheets, or you could literally import an Excel document if you wanted to. It allows this system to essentially ingest this data, and you can build out some reporting dashboards. Again, like our car, to know how fast are we going? Are we going fast enough? Do I need to switch some gears? Other things that exist with this, it's not limited to just Google. You literally can load in all of your Facebook organic. If you're doing Facebook ads or you have somebody running them for you, you can load that data in there as well. I think they said there was over like 300 something plus partners that were or data sources that you could throw in. But the cool piece is that they've already got pre-built templates or tools that you could use to visualize that data. So I don't know about you, but if I know that for me, I'm very much a visual learner, and if somebody told me, hey, you're at goal, I'm like, okay, well, am I at goal? Like, am I literally at goal? Am I above goal? Am I behind? Like, what does that actually physically look like? Those visualization tools are huge for us to be able to look at. Yeah.
So will this take like Salesforce data or something else?
We'd have to look at the specific import options, but
Okay.
my belief would be yes, but I would want to clarify that because there's over 300 sources. But I mean, like they said, oh, do you have a CSV file? Load it in, or an SQL database. You could load those things in.
Okay.
It literally can ingest all of those things, and then you can
Yeah,
build
that's a good point.
almost like widgets essentially and say, oh, I want you to use this data and build it in.
So what you're saying is if there isn't a direct API, there might be something else that could be used to ingest.
Correct. So like,
Yeah.
again, I don't know why this one's at the angle that I'm at. So like this is Supermetrics or Data Relate, or I know I saw Qualtrics on another one. TapClicks is another popular format that people are seeing. These were all physically Google. But the big thing is that there's a lot of different options. You just have to go and search for what that one is. And I'm pretty sure the system probably could ingest it. But the cool thing is you can build up these are actually dashboards that Google has pre-built that you can literally say, okay, here's their data studio. I want my stuff to start pre-flooding into this, and then you start adding in those data sources, and it'll start backfilling this thing and creating what it is. There's other options tool, which I thought was really kind of cool, is you've got people, the community, if you will, if you have a dashboard built, you can literally load your dashboard directly into the system so other people could use it or play with it. I mean, they had everything from, the road to the Toronto's championship and using sports data based off of the shots that people are doing and what their competitive nature is. I'm not a sports person, so it's probably a terrible thing what I just said. But the other cool, so the two that I just highlighted was they had somebody who was doing something for Are We Alone, and it was correlating different data points on interterrestrial things that are happening within the realm. And another person put together a Big Mac index, which I don't know what that is, but I know that there's I remember reading about it in school, and I know I don't know what Big Mac, somebody probably does in the room, but they just had these, I just pointed it out as two different things that people uploaded. So you can see what other people are doing with the platform, and it's really cool. In fact, I told you the first, no! See, you were right, that middle button, that screws you over. I did really well. I was on the mend right there, right? So when it comes to, MLive built their own. We have a performance analytics team that does a variety of things, whether it's building it out for our customers or building things internally so we have a better source of data. This is the first time I was introduced to Data Studio. So they literally have imported the analytics to see what's happening on every single one of our home pages, what DMA is getting the traffic, and then I could take that data or the date up at top, and I could change the data or the date to see what date I'm looking for. So in the month of February, we saw 11.5 million users, 29 million sessions. But then you could break that out because I had a couple people who told me, I love this tool because I've had customers tell me, you don't have a presence in Detroit, or I don't think my area is necessarily going to be the best thing. One of my partners that I work with is up in Hemlock. I had no idea where Hemlock was until I had to go drive there, but it's kind of north of Midland-ish area, that middle of Michigan, middle of nowhere. And the client made the comment. He says, Hemlock is where we get all of our news from MLive. And I'm like, I don't know that city. And I sure enough pulled it up in the system, typed in the city, and there it is. I was able to see how many sessions we had or things that we were able to build. So that's just a really cool tool. So, what's next for you? The thing I would say is, step back and I would think about what's important to your business growth and prosperity. And physically put pen to paper and say, okay, so for me, I sell a widget. The way that it costs me X number of dollars. The other cool thing with analytics, which I did not get into because I am not an e-commerce expert, there's some really powerful e-commerce tools where you can actually figure out, based off of the data that you know with your system, lifetime values of customers, if they perform X action on my website, I know it's going to yield X number of dollars. That's like the graduate level PhD class. That's when I call my performance analytics team and I say, how do you do this? So think about what it is with your business and what it is that you're trying to do. What's important to you and what looks good for that growth and prosperity. Then, if you don't have Google Analytics on your website, go put that system on your website so it can start collecting data. The one thing with Google Analytics is if it's not on the site, you can't backdate. It can only move forward. So it collects as it moves forward. So if you put it on there today, you're not going to have any data. But next week you will, and then next month you do. So you always want to make sure you have access to that code as well, and it's created with a system that you don't forget, because you can't get that UA code back if, let's say, your office assistant was the person who set it up and now you can't get a hold of them. I've had that before, and people lose years of data that they just go restart over. Install some tracking pixels. I didn't talk about pixels throughout the whole entire thing, but one of the most common ones is Facebook. So we've all been shopping or we viewed a specific website before, and then now we go on our Facebook page and we see an ad for it. That's a Facebook pixel. It's tracking that thing. That's one other easy way. And the cool thing about the Data Studio thing is that you can literally load that information directly into your Data Studio. So again, now you have two different forms of data to be able to look at. And then think about what your perfect dashboard looks like, right? Some people could really care less how fast they're going. So you might not need a speedometer. They prefer to see the RPMs. Others want to know, when's my next maintenance check going to be? Think about those things and incorporate the tabs and the tools that are there. And essentially, that is towards the end of what I've got. I'm glad that my brain was able to hold up. And why is that bar across the... Technical errors. Well, that's weird. That is a thank you, so I don't know what's happening in that realm, but we're just going to leave that up. It's a thank you. It's covered. I don't know why. It's a weird bar. Anyway, thank you. Yeah. Yes?
You didn't really mention anything about goals in analytics, and I personally find those difficult to set up. Just wondering if you could expound on that at all.
So that is definitely a goal. When it comes to goals, I'm really good. I like to speak on the things that I know really well, and then defer to others when I don't. Goals is one of those things that I am not an expert at, and it is a really powerful tool. So I generally will work with my performance analytics team or another person that's really well versed in the goal setup. Because essentially what you're doing is, so let's say I go to the website and there's a button. I can literally track that button click. So for LA2M, you want to know and track tickets. Well, what drove somebody to the website? I could literally say, put a goal behind that buy ticket button that literally tracks that specific item. But the only reason why I didn't go into goals is because you can get into the weeds really, really quickly. Depending on how your website is set up, you might need, what's the name of the system? I really lost the train of thought there. See, I just put the thanks brain thing up, and now it's gone. I'll think of it later. But there's another system that varies well with Google Analytics, that if you can't physically track that button click, this system will allow you to do it. And it's another Google thing, that just depends on how the website's set up. So goals will, Tag Manager, thank you, good Lord. So Tag Manager will allow you to do different things that you weren't able to actually physically do with Google Analytics, and it just expands the amount of options that you have for tracking. But yes, goals is extremely important. I didn't know what we were all going to be getting into today, and so I didn't dive super deep into that. But if we know that this button will provide us X amount of value, that's where the e-commerce play comes in. Is that if you know that if I click this buy, it'll translate into dollars. It literally gives me the value, and then I can go and actually parse that information out. Where are they coming from geographically? What traffic source is giving me the most amount of dollars or conversions? And so essentially what that goals is going to be doing is just tracking conversions that we physically want. I'm sorry, I don't have a better answer for that one, but I'm not an expert at it. I love playing with them, but setting them up, it gets real dicey. Yeah. Yeah.
I was wondering if you had any technique for behavior flow. I've tried that behavior flow tool to show where users are going from page to page. I find that kind of cumbersome as far as reporting.
Yeah.
And I didn't know, I know there's one where you can, I forget what it's called, but you have the user, it shows the next couple of tasks and through if you go through with it. I just wonder if you had a surefire way of technique of showing how the user can navigate through your site.
So that is where I feel goals comes into play. So if you've got good goals set up, then you can look at the best path of conversion. So what you're looking for is that behavior flow is just literally showing how do people go through my site. So literally if Meyer mapped out how when people walk through the front door, do they go to the left to the bakery, or do they go to the right to the service station, or do they go straight back to the toiletries? What do they do? That's essentially behavior flow. Now, if Meyer said, our goal is to get you to buy from this display, what they would look at is then they could, let's say that they could, I'm trying to create a whole example out of the air right now. Let's say they wanted to know what car people drive or brand people drive the most. They had cameras, they watched you, but they had this display. That'd be a conversion. So what's the best thing? So maybe we need to market to this specific dealership because it's going to drive people to this specific display. So you really need to have some goals set up, and then it'll show you the best path of conversion. And what it'll do is it'll show like direct was this many, direct, or it was paid search, social, then direct. And it'll literally map them out based off of, and stack rank them based off of how those goals were completed and the best path to conversion. If that's what you're looking for. Yeah. Anything else? Well, thank you guys for having me back. I love being here. It's always a pleasure to come to these events, and I look forward to seeing you all again soon.
Thank you so much, Q.
Yeah, my pleasure.
As is customary with LA2M, we're going to take the last 10-15 minutes or so to give everybody the floor, take 30 seconds or so to introduce yourself, and if you have a specific ask for anybody or anything that you're looking for from anybody here, you can take the opportunity to do that. So whoever wants to begin can do that. You can just go around the room.
Start over here.
Oh.
Go ahead. No, that's okay. Becky Ashcraft from the Ann Arbor Area Transportation Authority.
Samantha Potter from the Ann Arbor Area Transportation Authority.
And Mary Boonen, also from the RIDE, Ann Arbor Area Transportation Authority.
Chris Simmons, also with the RIDE, but I also run the Get Downtown program in Ann Arbor.
George Parasol, I'm not with the RIDE. I'm the founder of Brainstream Creative, and I help people by using filmmaking techniques to tell stories about the brands they serve and the causes they champion. Thank you.
Mike Creech from Internet2.
Miriam Finet, Internet2.
I'm Lou Parsons. I'm a real estate broker with Keller Williams, Piper Partners, here in State Street.
Hi, Stacy. From Dollarbill Printing, your local digital print shop, and we make printing easy and fast. I'm also the board of LA2M, Leah and Matt also. So thank you for coming. Sorry that they must be the virus. I don't know. It's just weird that there's so few people here. I'm also part of WXW, which is the Women's Exchange Washington, and next Thursday is our meeting. We meet the third Thursday of every month, and you'd also like to get a lesson, not in marketing, but in business, a business lesson, and have lunch with a ton of wonderful business women.
Leah McChesney, SCS Image Group. We are a branding company. We brand and logo anything and everything that you could need or want, from signage to vehicle wraps to clothing, etc.
My name is Dr. Jeff Boyle. This is Dr. Park here. She's actually a medical student working with me, so I thought she's not going to know, but she's more than happy to talk to her. She's actually going to anesthesiology afterwards. Anyways, so my name is Dr. Jeff Boyle. Like I said, I have a clinic here in Ann Arbor called Beyond Primary Care. It's an insurance-free, membership-based clinic where my patients virtually unlimited office visits, wholesale medications, and wholesale photo work done in my office. I do have an ask. Many people here have a small business or know of small business, obviously. If you have any contacts with a health benefits solutions team or health benefits solution manager who does like health insurance for large employers between 5 and 15 employees, I'd love to have that connection. So thank you.
And I'm Roger Rayle. I'm a venture catalyst in my extended transition, which is what I call retirement. And so I help with a lot of videoing of working community events. And this group actually was a spinoff of A2B3, another long-lasting meetup group. And HB3 is already considering streaming the meetings for a while because people are afraid to go out. Probably for good reasons. Because, I mean, Carter's not here because he coughed. Monday night, meeting with Carter, so.
Oh, great.
Yeah, so you know, there's no testing of but a fraction of the people in the country. So this virus is out there. Wash your hands. If you're sick, stay home. Stay 3 or 6 feet away from people. Don't rush out and buy toilet paper because some people need to go to the store to buy toilet paper because they ran out. Don't order stuff. You might get 2 weeks worth of food in case you have to keep yourself away from everybody for a couple weeks. Just be careful and be focused that it's going to hit people my age most. I have an 8%, if I get it, I have an 8% chance of dying. If I get it, I have an 8% chance. 8% of the people who get it are, is it my age? No, it's more than that. Anyway, so, pay attention to your older relatives and friends, because they are more at risk. Young people can get it, not as often, but newborns can actually get it and die. So there's a lot going on. This is something that we're not used to in our generations. We used to having infrastructure to take care of this. And it's still there, but we need to make better use of it, be aware of some places. So that's my speech.
Thank you. I appreciate the words of caution and concern, Roger. I'm Matt Aldrich, president of LA2M. I also run MLive Media here. I build websites and manage your social media, so if you need any help with that, please come to me. 1 or 2 more things. If you want a copy of this presentation, sign up for our newsletter. We'll send this out via email over the next month or so. You can do that at www.LA2M.org. And last thing, our server, Dee, please be sure to pay your bill, thank her and tip her, and be a good human. That's about it. Thanks so much for coming today, guys. Hope to see you next month as well. And thank you, Q, for that great presentation.
Thank you. I'll throw, because in sales you never take a missed opportunity, and since everybody else got an ask, I'm gonna throw one out there. If you know anybody who's in the political realm and running a political race, that's one of the things that I've been extremely passionate about, is helping political campaigns get the word out. MLive being the Michigan's #1 news network, it's a great opportunity to have their brand be aligned with a brand that people trust for their local news. So if you know anybody that's in the political realm and looking for a little bit of help, I'd love to help them out and get their message out on their campaign.
Cool.
From big hill all the way down to little.
I've done it all. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, we have the room till at least 1, and probably even a bit beyond, so if you don't have to run out here, then don't feel like you have to. Yeah, we can do that.
One of those.
Did you need my, do that?
Good luck.